Hello, everybody. Welcome to this happy hour edition of my Friday Live. Welcome, welcome. We're being taken over today by none other than Jolabokaflod PDX. And if you guys don't know what that is, stay tuned because I have some fun guests who are going to tell us a little bit about what we'll be seeing at Jolabokaflod PDX. I'm going to give you lots of chances to hear that so that you can get used to the rhythm of the word. It's Icelandic. So I want to introduce my guests here that are already in the studio. I will start with Molly Ringle. Welcome, welcome. And if you want to say hello and introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I'm Molly, and I grew up in Corvallis, Oregon, and I live in Seattle now, so Northwest almost my whole life. And I write usually things that are paranormal or fantasy, but pretty much always love stories. And I think I'm hilarious, but weird is more of what the label that other people give me is.
Yes, claim the weird. Claim the weird. Yeah. Love it. We love it. All right, and then I'll bring on Jeff Burnside, new to Jola this year. We're very happy to have him. Why don't you introduce yourself, what you write, and where you're calling in from, Jeff?
Okay, yeah, I am calling in from Molly's hometown of Corvallis, which is now my hometown. I grew up in Ohio, had a stop of 4 years in Central Asia, where I picked up a lot of the stories that I've ended up writing about. So I have a couple of books. Here's one of them, Making Love While Levitating 3 Feet in the Air. It's a collection of short stories. And then my latest, A Husband and Wife Are One Satan. Very demonic sounding, but actually not. It's not a demonic story.
All right. Awesome.
So I write fiction, short stories, poetry.
Very cool. Multi-genre. And then we're going to welcome in another Molly, which is like hasn't happened in a long time, I imagine. Molly Hunt. Go ahead, Molly. And if we can check to see if we hear you.
Hi, can you hear me this time?
Perfect. Why don't you give us a short intro?
I can hear you too this time. I am at Oricon at the NIWA table, Northwest Independent Writers Association, which is my group. And they are also going to be at Jolabokaflod. But I'm going to have my own table there. I write The Crazy Cat Lady Cozy Mysteries. This is one. They feature a cat shelter volunteer. And I also write cat sci-fi and fantasy. There we go.
Awesome. And they look like they're shrink wrapped. Is that for?
Yeah, that's for the pandemic here at our NIWA table. We're just trying to be especially careful.
Very cool. Okay, so I didn't know it was Oricon. I've been pronouncing it Oricon because it's O-R-Y. But anyway, yeah, so you may have noticed that all of our guests today are located in the Pacific Northwest. And since this is a wide channel and we've got viewers from all over, I just wanted to clarify, Jolabokaflod PDX is an Icelandic festival, but the PDX tells you that it happens in Portland, Oregon, and we're doing this to highlight independent authors in the Pacific Northwest, of which we have a smattering right here. So we've got some different genres represented for sure. I was going to ask a question about genre, which is, what is your genre and what would you call its opposite? So I know we have different interpretations, but if you could think of your book, what would the opposite genre be? So for me, I didn't introduce myself, actually. It's my channel, so I guess I don't have to, but I write historical fiction that's like family saga in 19th century. So I would say the opposite would be like supernatural horror. That would like not be the vibe. That's like the other side of the spectrum. So Molly, how about you?
Well, I write cozy mysteries, so the opposite would be slasher thrillers, either that or memoir.
Yeah, memoir is the opposite.
Well, I'd heard this term recently. I think we talked about last year. I guess the opposite of mine would be grimdark, because what I write is noble bright, and I didn't even know that I wrote that until I heard about this term. So Noble Bright is like, no, there's still hope in these fantasy worlds rather than, well, we all know what Grimdark is like. It's like Game of Thrones. So I probably will never go full Grimdark.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And I write primarily in the realistic mode, although I do dabble in some magical realism, but mainly about relationships, people, places, nature. But I'd say the opposite of my work would probably be true crime fiction. It's about as far away from what I do as I can think of.
What is true crime fiction? I thought true crime meant it wasn't fiction.
Well, I don't know. I've seen that term before, and it just popped into my head. It struck me that that's just not what I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, I've got a list of just like fun questions here. What's the funniest character name you've gotten away with? That's how I phrased it. I don't know if you have character names if you write memoir and poetry, but I guess you'd have to pull from a short story. Jeff, why don't you start?
Oh my goodness. Funniest character name. How about Pasha?
Pasha.
Pasha.
Nice.
It's actually not a funny name at all, but I just that's the one I opened up to, and it reminds me of a real life person I knew who was named Pasha, who is a very funny individual. So to me, that name reminds me of him.
You know what it reminds me of is I lived in Turkey for a year, and so whenever someone had Pasha after that name, that meant they were sultan in history.
Yes.
Pasha, whatever. And so I associate it with someone very grandiose in historical times. So
absolutely, yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I can't think of a funny one because I'm good at writing, but not so good at thinking and remembering. But my new book that's coming out next week is got a character named Datura, and she's a villain. So I thought that was pretty cool. She told me her name, so
that's a
we do what our characters tell us.
That's a good name. Poisonous, yes.
Ew.
Very cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I was remembering that in my book, All the Better Part of Me, which is sort of a romantic comedy, there's an actress named Ariel Salisbury, and she's British. And I will assume that that is not the name she was born with and she chose it. So it is pretty over the top to be called Ariel Salisbury. And, that's the point, but yes.
Yeah.
How about you, Margaret?
I tried to name a character after a Charles Dickens character because I didn't know it was a Charles Dickens character. It was in my brain, but it wasn't like connected. I just heard it from pop culture, and I can't remember what it was. It was someone like an evil preacher or something, and it caught me. And my editor was like, "That's an actual Dickens character," and I was like, "Oh, okay, never mind."
Cool.
We've got Evan in the chat. Hello, Evan. And we've got Shannon there going by to say hello.
Nice.
Well,
very nice.
I think I'm going to duck out, Margaret, and let somebody else in.
All right.
Thank you for
Have
having me.
fun at the conference.
Yeah.
You.
Good luck.
Bye.
Hi, Molly.
All right. And then here we go. Here we go. All right. We can all still hear each other, right?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking. It got real quiet. I was like a little worried.
Yeah. Don't worry, my dog will bark one of these minutes.
All right. Shannon was asking about Grimdark because I made the comment here, Grimdark versus Noble Bright. Molly, you want to fill us in a little bit more? I know Alan talked about it last year, but
right. I think it's Grimdark. I don't know if the term came in with Game of Thrones, but it certainly got very popular around then because of that series characterizes it. It's usually only applies to fantasy, I think, and is basically it's the mood of it where almost no one is truly a good guy. Everyone is kind of morally gray, and also there's probably no guarantee, as in Game of Thrones, that any of the guys you like are going to make it alive to the end. Whereas Noble Bright, is more like, well, Lord of the Rings sort of, where there's actually a sense of hope and that you're doing this for a good reason, and many of the characters have actual redeeming qualities that will carry them through to victory, and you're pretty confident that it'll end up okay, even when things get very dark, as Lord of the Rings does. But you don't feel like, wow, they really might all get killed. You kind of know that that's not how it's gonna end.
Yeah.
Unlike Game of Thrones, where honestly that could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the name of the Dickens character. It was Uriah Heep.
Oh yeah, Uriah
Uriah
Heep.
Heep. Yeah.
What a name.
Right?
Well, it was the name of a hard rock band in the 70s. If they could steal it, why couldn't you, Margaret?
Right. That was the other thing my editor brought up, and I was like, I didn't know that one either. Yeah.
I didn't know that one. Yeah, I didn't know it was a band. Like Ebenezer. I mean, I'm sure after Christmas Carol, nobody could name their kid Ebenezer anymore. That's just, that name is ruined now.
It's gone.
Although I bet someone tries to bring it back and calls their kid Eben instead of Evan and just like speaks by.
Yeah, the full name is Ebenezer.
How about this one? Have you looked up your fellow Jola authors?
Absolutely. In fact, Evan just popped on. We've been corresponding a little bit. Dee Dee Montgomery, I don't know if she's on here or not, but absolutely. In fact, I just read, I'm going to plug one of our Jola authors. I just read Dee Dee's book that's coming out, and I wrote a blurb for it, and it is excellent.
Is it another fiction?
It is fiction. It's a collection of linked short stories, very, very tightly linked. I actually called it a novel in short stories. It's good. It has a wonderful mystery to it. It's set right here in the Pacific Northwest. She captures the mood of the place just perfectly. Yeah.
Excellent.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Very cool. Okay, so this is a great point for me to educate everyone. Jola, like YOLO.
Like Yule. Like you, yes.
Like yodeling. Jolabokaflod. So it's the same sound all the way through. It's very like Scandinavian sounding. And in case you don't know, Jolabokaflod is an Icelandic festival where, because of supply issues, funnily enough, after World War II, the Icelanders would get their books all in one sort of rush in the fall season. And so everyone would rush out, get their catalogs, their Bókatidindi, they'd leaf through them, and they'd give gifts of books only on Christmas Eve. And everyone would exchange these gifts, take them home, and the introvert's dream, read a book through the night with a cup of hot chocolate. And when I heard that, I was like, I want this. So
seriously, I just read a chapter about Iceland in a book that it's sort of a travel memoir, and it sounded amazing. Like the literary culture, they said basically everyone is encouraged to just do artsy things, even if it's no good. Just no, it's cool, you're supposed to do it, just do it for fun. And apparently they have a joke that one of these days they'll put up a statue in Reykjavik of the one Icelandic person who's never written a poem, but they haven't found them yet.
That's good. That's a good joke.
I want to live there if that's what it's like. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It reminds me of Ireland. When I was there in Dublin, I went into the restroom at a pub, and inside the restroom, instead of, in America, we have graffiti of this and that all over the place. But in the Ireland, in the restrooms, they have pictures of Irish authors. And I thought, this is a country I can relate to. This is pretty cool.
They also have them other places besides the restroom. So it's not a commentary on what they think of the authors. I would.
No, not at all. Absolutely.
Poetry snippets up, though. Yeah, that's an improvement on some things that could be on the wall.
I've been saying, hey, he just read Jeff's chapbook, and wow, you got a fan.
Hey, nice. Well, thank you, Evan.
Here's my friend Charles at Eberhardt Press. This is another vendor that's going to have a table at Jolabokaflod with like letterpress items, which is going to be really fun. He says, I thought Grimdark was a documentary genre. Ha! There we go.
Maybe it's the fantasy equivalent of true crime.
Maybe.
Which I think is a documentary. Well, now we're not sure, but yeah.
Have you read Evan Winter?
No.
Okay. I just remember seeing a lot of people rave about his sort of epic tomes in science fiction. So I was thinking he might be grimdark, but I might have that wrong as well. He's fantasy.
Awesome. I don't know. Yeah. It's been a popular style
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why. It's the times we live in, being reflected in literature,
Yes.
right?
Some people want to go
maybe,
darker.
maybe. Yeah.
You know, it's like you escape or you imitate the times that you're in, right? You get to choose.
Yeah.
Michelle is saying hello. Dream Christmas right there for the Yola tradition.
Yeah.
Totally.
Nice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For stopping by, Michelle. She's all the way in Australia, so it's like 7 in the morning.
And it's a beautiful spring day too.
Yeah, right.
Probably. Yeah.
It's the end of the year. It all blurs together. Looking forward to the event. Awesome. Thanks for coming by.
Very cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I will also note that we're going to be at Urbanite PDX, which is in Inner Southeast, and it's going to be on Sunday, December 12th, 11 to 3:30. And there's going to be a flea market and other vendors beside us with books and hot chocolate vendor and like lots of fun things. So we're trying to make it
Food?
interesting. Yeah.
Are we going to have food? Food carts?
I don't think there's food inside. There might be food outside, but I think we're just gonna have like little baked treats and hot chocolate and coffee. So like nibbles, but not the full lunchbox place. Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. Coffee and a baked treat. I'm good.
Yeah. Books and things that people have built and made around from the Northwest. Yes.
Yes.
Perfect gift buying opportunity.
Yes. Very cool.
Exactly. We bumped it up.
Yeah.
We used to do it
Spring morning.
But yeah,
Yes.
spring morning is right. I've been saying grimdark sounds analogous to noir, in which all characters are flawed, as opposed to procedurals and cozy mysteries.
Yeah, I think that works
That's
as an analogy within fantasy rather than mystery. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think actually romance even has subgenres that you could kind of split out similarly.
So many
dark romance,
so many.
As opposed to fluffy and yeah.
Yeah.
Rom-com.
Would you call any of your books paranormal romance? It's got
I think usually they can be called romance, although I bend romance rules just a little in just about all of them, so that's why I default to saying, well, they all have love stories, but most of the time I've kind of not quite followed the romance formula, which there's a certain formula, which is great. People want to expect a certain thing, as with mysteries. They want to expect a certain path to get there.
Right.
But yeah, I like to mix genres a little, which and I like that in what I read too. But sometimes it can confuse people. But what is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's both.
Oh yeah, I love that kind of mashup. I think that's great.
Yeah.
When genres
like magic
collide.
realism. I love. Yeah. Magic is incorporated in one way or a deeper way, or just a little bit. That's I always liked that about magic realism. That's just kind of accepted, and it can be sometimes just little touches. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a question about the nickel harpa.
I
Do you guys know what the nickel harpa is?
Well, I assume it's
yes, I do.
I don't know.
I actually, amazingly enough, have a couple of CDs with the nickel harpa on it.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Yes. I'm very, very broad in my tastes.
So this is going back to the fact that when we were in person last time, not last year, but before, for Jolabokaflod, we had a local artist who played the nickel harpa during the sessions. And I'm trying to remember which country she went to learn it. And I'm blanking. It wasn't Iceland. It was Finland, Norway. It was one of those.
Could be that.
Could be. Sure.
And it was really cool because it was like lending us the Scandinavian flavor to the event, but not this time. There is going to be so much going on, Evan, and so many people looking for books. I'm afraid that the noise level is only going to tolerate a background sort of soundtrack. So not this year, but it's okay. How about, I have some silly questions here. Do the glasses make the writer? Your headshots when I was putting up social media posts on Twitter. So I'm in charge of the Twitter ones, and Elizabeth does the Instagram ones, and I just sort of follow on. And I noticed a lot of us have glasses, and of course I'm the one without them this time. But I just thought that was funny. Is it part of your writer identity at this point?
No, it's just I think we all read so much as kids that we just wore out our
You're
eyes,
kidding,
and
yeah.
we just have been wearing them, ever since we can remember. It's probably that simple.
I didn't need them until my mid-30s, and I was writing before that. So yeah, I think the writing, if anything, caused me to need glasses later. Well, probably genetics. My parents wear glasses, but yeah, if anything, it might be that way around.
Both of my parents did wear glasses, and now my mom's got those transition ones. And
Yeah,
my
these are
dad
bifocals.
yeah. And my dad
Those are bifocals.
LASIK
Those are
surgery.
snappy.
So.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm new to bifocals. I'm getting used to this little blurry bit here.
Doing the
I know.
Nice. Okay, here's one that might be controversial. What's your favorite writing snack?
Molly?
I only usually bring up a drink. It's usually tea, and I usually finish it within about 5 minutes. But yeah, sometimes if I'm just going down to the kitchen to stand there and think about things, I will find myself with the open container of chocolate chips, just kind of eating them while I'm blankly thinking. There's that.
Yeah, for me, tea for sure. Probably if I'm doing the blankly thinking at the kitchen counter thing, it would probably be cheese.
That can happen too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tortilla chips sometimes.
I just brought
potato chips. Yes.
Yeah, any chips, whatever chips are in the house.
Something crunchy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and salty.
I just brought family to the airport, and you know what's near the airport? IKEA. So I brought like a what's it called? Not deluxe size, share size oatmeal chocolate cookies back, and I've been dunking those in the tea, and they go down real easy.
Yeah.
Why are the IKEA snacks so good? They're they're cheap. They shouldn't be that good. Why are they so good?
I'm like, do I trust Utz certification for fair trade? I've never known Utz to be like that sustainable brand, but whatever.
I don't know. You can get so many meatballs for so little.
Well, yeah, about that. Shannon saying her favorite is chocolate and coffee. Excellent. Good choice.
Chocolate coffee, sure. Yeah.
So this is a Northwest thing. I don't know if anyone's commented with you guys' writing, but I've sometimes had my beta readers from elsewhere in the nation or the world say things like, does everyone in the Northwest drink tea and coffee so often? Because apparently my characters are doing that a lot, more than would be normal in other parts of the country. So I wonder if that's a Northwest habit more than it is. I think New Yorkers probably would also feel the same, but I wonder in some other places, why so much coffee and tea?
I can tell you, I go through a lot of tea. I do. I probably do. I probably do like 5 cups of tea a day.
Oh yeah, I have just a pot of herbal tea, and then I make the others green and black for separate mugs. So I have countless. Yeah.
Bottomless. Yes.
Totally.
Yeah, this doesn't seem strange to me at all.
No, this is, what else would you do? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Every writer I know drinks, gallons of coffee. So, and certainly tea. Yeah.
So
I picked up the tea habit. Oh, I'm sorry.
Question. So if Jeff does magical realism and Molly does fantasy, have you used bottomless coffee pot or teapot in your works yet? Because obviously that's something we want.
Oh, I should.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna think about that.
First story prompt. There you go.
Thank you, Margaret. We'll do it.
Magic tea needs to happen somehow or other. Yeah.
Australians are big drinkers of tea and coffee too.
Oh, good. That's good.
Okay, good to know. Another reason.
And the Brits. Well, the Brits are Brits with tea, not so much with coffee, but yeah, less so.
Shannon says, I picked up drinking coffee when I was stationed in Washington State.
There we go.
That would do it.
Good place to pick up that habit.
I think heavy coffee consumption goes with the weather, maybe.
I figure certain amount of cloudiness. You want to be warm, perked up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
In fact, the Nordic countries are big coffee drinkers. People in the Nordic countries. So
yeah, the cafes started in Northern Europe, right? So yeah.
Yes, that's right.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had the drinking chocolate in the early centuries. So that's kind of something I think we should go back to as well as an option.
Yeah.
What about the countries that grow the coffee? Do you think they're big coffee drinkers?
I know. I get less of an impression of that. I'm not sure though. Like in Brazil or something, do they drink as much coffee? Right.
South America, West
Africa. Right.
Yeah, they have to be. I would think.
I would hope. I hope so. I hope they keep some. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good iced. I mean, those are hot places mostly, so, but it's still good iced, so you can do that.
There we go.
It's a coffee appreciation.
Steph, her channel name, sharing coffee appreciation stories. Yeah, we're muddling through why people drink so much coffee and or tea. So feel free to share if you have some insight.
Well, I think for writers, it's all about the caffeine. I mean, you know, it gets you jolted, it gets you thinking, it gets the creativity rumbling. Yeah.
Oh, good. She said, "Family grows coffee. Yay!"
Nice.
That's good. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, that is cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
You can probably tell us all the best ways to serve it too, and to roast it. Yeah.
And I actually have a friend in Portland who has a tea plant that is flourishing because everything in her garden flourishes for some strange magical reason.
I have a tea plant, but I have yet to make tea that tastes like anything at all. I've picked the leaves. I've tried toasting them so that I looked up how to make green tea. It tastes like hot water. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm missing something. Maybe the terroir is not right in my garden for green tea. Yeah.
Bonus points for using that word and even pronouncing it correctly. That's good.
Yeah. The hat.
I'm a total word nerd. Yes.
Yeah.
Beth Ann is coming by to say hello. I don't know if she's still in Ireland or not, but she says, "I've had no problem finding good cups of coffee when traveling through Mexico." Oh, Mexico is good coffee.
Yeah, I would believe that about Mexico. Yeah. Because isn't there the flavor Mexican mocha, right? They have the coffee chocolate cinnamon mix, and it's so good. So I've mostly had it as an ice cream flavor, but I'm going to assume that means that they have good flavors of coffee. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Get verification for that.
Yeah.
And then we've got Evan saying caffeine makes my heart so none for me. Yeah.
I do have to go light with coffee. I kind of get the crash because there's so much caffeine. So I usually stick to tea, but I wish I could do coffee more because it is pretty tasty.
Nope. Yeah. Doesn't have pass these lips. I think I had a period when I was like working in nonprofits in DC, and like you would go to conference rooms and they'd be freezing because the air conditioning is on full. And there would be nothing but coffee because everyone else drinks it. So I would have to have like coffee and dump like half a thing of creamer in it and be like, "Okay, I'm warm. I don't like the taste, but I'm warm."
Well, bad coffee is not good. I mean, yeah.
It's supposedly good. I just don't like coffee at all. So
yeah.
Beth Ann is back from Ireland. Okay, so she's in New York State, also a lovely place, but not probably a coffee growing place. Precious cup of coffee comes right after the beans are sun dried.
That sounds lovely.
It does.
Yeah.
Yay. All right. Scale of 1 to 10. This is just a me question. How much do you love moss, and why is it 11?
No, I'm there with you. Yeah, 11. I mean, it's so funny. I was just saying to a friend in a chat the other day, because he had said when he came and visited the Northwest from upstate New York, that like, he had thought that the pictures of the Hoh rainforest and such they must have been slightly enhanced or something. They couldn't really look like that with all the heavy green dripping moss, but they really did. And I was like, yeah, I think I probably grew up with unrealistic expectations of how much moss is in an average forest when I grew up in Oregon and Washington. Because yeah, everything's covered in moss. Isn't that how it is?
Right.
And moss is soft and pretty.
It's the moss and the lichens. Yeah. And it's a 10. They're a 10 for me. Yeah, because I grew up in Ohio and we don't have those kinds of forests. And then I lived all over the country, and we came from Arizona before moving up here. And compared to Arizona, we felt like we had just entered the rainforest, here in Oregon. It was stunning. And yeah, the moss and the lichens, the old man's beard, dripping off of the trees. That's
Jeff,
a
I can
10.
point you to there's a certain tree in Corvallis. I think it's still there because I visited last time I saw my parents. And it's like right north of Walnut Boulevard. And even though they've put up some apartments, they've left that tree there because it's an old oak tree and it's got amazing multi-branches and they're just all moss and there's mistletoe up in it.
Mistletoe,
so,
yep.
We called it the Leprechaun Tree, my sister and I, when we were growing up, because we just assumed leprechauns lived there or something. Because that's the kind of make-believe stuff we did. We'd walk up the hill and be like, leprechauns.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of this area. It really looks that way. It's magical. Yeah,
it is. I think the Willamette Valley kind of hits the perfect sweet spot of. I mean, I love Seattle, but it is the ultra gloom up here, and then you get down into California and it gets a little too hot and wildfire-y. But too many fire, a little much too on fire. But then the Willamette Valley just has the nice sun and cloud mix and just about the right amount of beautiful hills and valleys. Yeah.
Awesome.
I cannot deny it's an awfully nice place.
Yeah, we're just a couple of homies. Yeah,
I know. There's
yay moss, yay moss, everybody. And then Evan's saying there's a lovely moss featuring Northwest.
There we go.
Ooh, I may have to look that up.
But he had a few near misses. Well, that's good to hear. So we'll recommend that to everybody.
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't know about that.
And I see we've got someone else backstage, so let's welcome Dora Raymaker. Hello, Dora. Let's test Hey, welcome. You want to give a quick introduction to everybody, where you're calling in from and what kind of books you write?
So I am Dora Raymaker, and I am calling in from Portland Metro, and I write science fiction, own voices, neurodivergent literature, and you caught me at the end of a very long day of work meetings. I have another self that is a research professor at Portland State University. So I'm switching hats as quickly as I can. So my books also usually have quite a bit of, I work in the School of Social Work, and I do intervention research with the autistic and disabilities and MAD communities to improve quality of life and reduce stigma and that kind of stuff. So my books often have that, and I'm a systems scientist, so system science is kind of the basis of my stuff. So that is me. Hi.
Welcome.
Very cool.
Yeah, good to see you, Dora.
I'm just putting things in the chat, so excuse me while I'm trying to concentrate and talk at the same time and make it look like I'm not. Here we go. I'm going to start putting up your guys' links so people can find you on Instagram and Twitter if you're on, because I have them off to the side here. Everyone's just saying, hey, good evening. Hello, Dora. Welcome. And, just waving. Just love in the comments, so I got to pass it on. We're just going through some of our silly questions that I had here, which you were making fun of on Twitter. I saw that. So you get the next one, which is, what's your current read? What are you reading at the moment?
I'm currently reading Octavia Butler's Earthseed books.
Nice.
About 10% through the first one, according to my Kindle.
This is the first time read?
Yeah, it's a first time read.
Oh, cool.
I've read most of her other stuff, but never made it around. I was actually a little bit afraid of this one because I know it's about climate change, and that's a little anxiety provoking, I think, for many right now. But I decided it was time, and I'm really glad. So far, it's felt relatable in a way that I don't know is particularly comfortable. But I think good science fiction isn't always supposed to be comfortable. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well,
there.
Those books
Anyone
are.
else read this on the screen right now?
Those are
Mars. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm reading this with a buddy named Chrissy on BookTube here, and I'm like 400 pages, and there's still 100 to go. It's slow, but it's like really it's written like 20 years ago, really relevant for right now for what people are doing, even though it's on Mars. So climate change, what? Geoengineering, what? Very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you, Jeff?
Well, right now, I got a couple of books from other returned Peace Corps volunteers that are coming my way, a couple of poetry books, and I'm actually going to be reviewing them for the Peace Corps writers website, so that's up on my docket next.
Very cool. Is there a special website for Peace Corps volunteer books, or
yes,
like on Facebook or something?
Yeah, it's called Peace Corps Writers, and it's part of the website is Peace Corps Worldwide, and John Coyne and Marion Haley Bell run the site, and they basically use it as an opportunity to talk about all things books connected to Peace Corps. So Peace Corps writers, books by Peace Corps writers, different things in the news about Peace Corps and writing, whatever it might be. It's a great resource, and yeah, I'm just really happy to be connected with that community. The Return Peace Corps volunteer community is super tight knit. No matter where you go in the world, you can count on them to be there for you. Basically, it's kind of like being a part of a big family.
Nice. Yes, my dog did bark. That's the corgi downstairs. I've recently started reading Come As You Are, which is by a fellow Seattle author, or Seattle area author, Jennifer Haupt, Haupt, and it's coming out soon. I got it off NetGalley, and she's writing about, as the title may suggest, it's set partly in the 90s in Seattle grunge era, and then jumps also to about a decade later with a teen couple who ended up having a child, and then how that all falls out between them. But the nostalgia for the 90s Northwest is pretty lovely and very spot on in the details. I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. We wore thermal underwear under our ripped jeans. I'd forgotten that.
I remember that.
And we said no doubt to everything as an answer.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, that sounds great.
So yeah, it's called Come As You Are, and it's coming out. I'm not sure, I forget when it's coming out, but it's within probably a few months. Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of books coming out, do any of you guys have new releases or things that have just come out or that are coming out in the next month that you want to alert us to at the moment?
Well, I already advertised this that just came out.
Awesome.
And I do have a new essay collection coming out, not in a month, but it'll be out next year. It's called Ships in the Desert. It's about my time in Kazakhstan. And it'll be out with the SFWP Press.
SFWP. All right.
The Santa Fe Writers Project Press. SFWP.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. Does that have anything to do with Susan de Freitas?
No.
Okay.
Andrew Gifford is the publisher.
Okay.
And I don't know if Andrew's on here or not, but just to give him a shout out, he's great. He's awesome.
Yay.
I love working with Andrew. He's just so energetic, and he has so many good ideas, and he's been such a big help shepherding this book into being. So yeah, very happy.
Sweet. Santa Fe Writers Project. Writers Press.
I have a book.
Santa Fe Writers Project.
Sorry, I'm very interrupted.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
You're good. Go ahead, Dora.
I should wait to be called on.
No.
I'm terrible. So not this month, but I have a book coming out probably January. It just hit typesetting literally 2 days ago. So, but I have postcards, and I'll have them at the fair. So that's the cover.
Oh,
that
wow.
looks great.
Oh, it's pretty.
Set in the same world. It's called Resonance, and it's set in the same world as the novel that I will have for sale at the book fair. And it's a lot about what lives on the edge between hope and fear is how I've been nutshelling it.
Tagline, yeah. Very cool.
Yes, wonderful.
And that's all through Autonomous Press, which is a press that specializes in neurodivergent and neuroqueer literature.
Nice.
Autonomous Press.
Sounds good.
It's good.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't have a new thing coming out in the future, but I will have this book, Lava Red Feather Blue, at Jola, and that came out technically this year, but it was like really early this year, so it's getting to be a while ago, but it will be there, and that's one of mine fantasies it's set on an island in the North Pacific that I made up, kind of like a place like New Zealand or something, an island country, except this one is magic and hidden by magic from the rest of the world, and it has fae and witches living there and things. So that will be there.
Yeah.
And I'm working on writing more in that world, but it's slow, so we'll see.
And I've seen reviews that you pop up in Instagram stories, which look lovely. So good job on that.
I love bookstagrammers. Bookstagrammers are so nice, and they have the prettiest layouts when they decide to show a book cover with all their pretty props and things around it. They have the gift.
What is this called? Bookstagram? What?
Yeah, that's like the people on Instagram who pretty much do nothing but review books and talk about books, and some of them have huge followings. So I love these people if they want to read my books. I've found it to be much more pleasant to hang out there than, say, Facebook, which can be, well, you all know what Facebook can be like.
Exactly.
Or Twitter, obviously.
Okay.
All right, so another Jola question. And since Dora wasn't on, I just wanted to give the tutorial in case anyone new is on. Jolabokaflod. That's how you say it. You just keep the same sound, and we just do Jola for short, kind of like YOLO, because it's kind of the idea behind our indie festival. Like, we lost the Portland, and now I'm gonna forget the name. The indie book festival that used to be on Portland's Pioneer Place, and Evan will remind me if I can't think of the name, but that was there for a long time, and then the gal who was organizing it couldn't do it anymore. She passed it off to someone else, and then sort of it went wonky, and then it was canceled. And so this is when Elle Mitchell and I stepped in and were like, hey, let's do a different kind of fair and put it in somewhere else and see if we can get some support going. So that is why we're supporting indie authors in the Pacific Northwest. It's our origin story. Beth Ann saying, I'm loving these plugs. I want to read everything. Awesome.
Yay.
Oh, and Evan's here with the Insta knowledge, Instagram. Have you guys heard of the Instagram account Taylor Swift as Books?
I saw that for one or two authors. That was so awesome. Yes. They match the colors or something to your book cover. Like, they find something that Taylor's wearing that looks about like your book cover and put up pictures.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, do they have a program for this? Because how would you have this encyclopedic knowledge of all the photographs of Taylor Swift ever?
I think they have a huge folder of Tay pictures.
Right?
Yeah.
So
this is special stuff.
Yeah. She's an icon.
She is an icon. Yeah.
And Elle Mitchell, my co-host and organizer of Jolabokaflod, has been on that several times for, I think, 2 of her books, because they've been so she's all over that, and I just sort of see from her account what gets on there. But yeah, there's some really good matches. I'm just like, wow, impressive.
I kind of want to do. Yeah, I should submit mine. I've always felt like I'm not cool enough. I can't submit mine.
Should definitely should. I think it'd be an easy one, like the stars and the dark blue, and like
She must have had some cool dress. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Send it
We'll try it.
All right. So this is a question that's going to get at how nerdy you might be. Have you set up your table supplies for Jola yet? So the way it's going to be set up is that we all have individual tables, and they're all going to be different because they're supplied by Urbanite PDX, because they actually have their own furniture, their own pretty like little outlets and inlets and corners where people are selling vintage and their own made crafted stuff. And so they have all these gorgeous tables of different shapes and sizes. And so we're going to get there and be like, okay, plop your stuff here. And it's just, you get to decorate your table however you would like. But have you thought through what you're going to bring, or do you have like a standard event thing that's been moldering away for 2 years, or yeah.
I've been thinking, I have a box where I have all of that stuff, and I've been thinking about it. And the postcards for the new book are of course new. So those came in, and those are sitting behind me. And I keep thinking I need to pull my box out, figure out what's in it.
Yeah.
Put those postcards with it. I have postcards and bookmarks and books.
God, you're reminding me I should get postcards before too long here. But yeah, no, I haven't. I'm kind of terrible at decorating, but I'll be, when I'm going down to Jola, I'll be staying with my sister who lives in Portland, and she sews and makes costumes. So she has so much fabric and sparkly stuff in her house that I'm just going to count on and be like, hey, Peggy, do you have anything like, I don't know, a feather boa or some sparkly ribbons or just a length of pretty fabric? And she'll be like, yeah. And so I'm hoping that she'll just go into action for me.
Activate call a friend option. I like it.
Yeah.
That's giving me many ideas. I love sparkly things.
Yeah.
And they're perfect for the Yule tradition. I think Jola, I'm guessing the word Jola is related to Yule because it's the Nordic languages. So it probably.
I'm getting it past you. Yep. It stands for Jolabokaflod. So it's actually, they sound like all the words.
Right.
Jolabokaflod.
So sparkly things are perfect for that.
Exactly. Jeff?
Well, I don't have anything. I haven't thought about it, but I just want to be clear about something, Margaret. Just because I haven't thought about it doesn't mean that I'm not a nerd. It just means that I'm a procrastinator.
Totally.
Granted.
So these things can go together. You can be a nerdy procrastinator, which happens to be what I am. So, yeah. But I love the sparkly idea thing. I'm thinking maybe some Christmas lights. Will they have like plugs available?
They do, but I would not count on having something to plug into because we're going to be in aisles where people are going down in between. So you're not going to want to put cords where people are walking by.
Okay, good idea. All right.
You can get LED lights that run on battery.
And get like the USB charger thing that for your phones. It's just the little. I'm liking that.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
The kind that's meant to go into jars, you can put them in jars and stick them. You can get those in many kinds.
I've got a couple of those. Yeah. I actually did with Elle. We went and did a little like mini run through to make sure like things took as long as we thought they were going to take, and so I have all my stuff in a suitcase already. So
nice. Grab and go.
Yeah. You're an organized nerd. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's like ways of being nerdy too. I'm not a crafty nerd, crafts and arts type nerd exactly, but moss nerd, yes, things like that.
Yeah.
So gardening nerd,
yeah. Card carrying moss nerd.
Yeah. Plant nerd. I'll be like, no, that's actually in the azalea family. So, yeah.
There you go. I mean, I'm lucky I knew Datura was the name of a plant. Like I can call up an image of it because it's like a big one, but otherwise, like, yeah.
The nightshade family, I think. The nightshade family.
It's like those big white drooping
angel
flowers.
Angel trumpet. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think they get digitalis from that, don't they?
Foxglove is digitalis.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're related. They might be related, but yeah.
Okay.
We're getting into plant and medicinals in here. I love it. This is my crew.
But right, yeah, that's why you should not eat foxglove because it's very toxic in the dose that it's in the flower. But they can make a good medicine from it for heart problems, I think.
If you want a heart medicine, stick with hawthorn leaves, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That one I didn't know.
I did not know either.
And you can make an herbal tea from the bark, the curling bark that comes off madrone trees. You can put that in boiling water and make it a tea. So
I wonder what that tastes like.
I've done that. I've lived. It's fine. It basically is kind of like a mild black tea. It's not way exciting or anything, but it's doesn't taste bad. Yeah.
Okay. when I've gone through books that say you can make a tincture or a infusion out of this, a lot of the things that they mention are called diuretics. And I'm like, that just makes you pee, right? Like, what's the point? Tea is going to make you pee. So what?
Like dandelion, I think they say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm mystified by a lot of that stuff.
I think that's if you have a lot of like a water retention issue, it could be good. But
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
But yes, otherwise it is one of those words where you're like, maybe not.
Yeah. A lot of words I had to learn. We're coming up at the end of our hour here. So I'm here on BookTube because I have found my people and my community here on YouTube with people who love books and people who are authors, especially now during Nano. But I wanted to ask you, where do you guys like to be most, and where do you find your readers and community? Where do you connect with them best? And what do you like best? So give us a shout out so I can put those links up.
Well, yeah, like I mentioned Bookstagram, so I get a lot of lovely connections just via my Instagram page. It's not a huge following necessarily, but that's one of the nicest places I've hung out and had book connections. And my Facebook author page is not bad. I've got at least a small core group that'll still comment. You know, that the Facebook algorithm still shows them my posts, and which you never know if that's going to happen. But yeah. Sometimes that actually works out really well too.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about the metaverse. That's been like the latest thing to get in my be in my bonnet.
I know, I know it's all owned by the same thing. I don't know why Instagram feels more pleasant to hang out in, but because it's mostly pretty pictures as opposed to comment threads of debate. Yeah.
Dora, how about you?
I don't know that I'm good at any of that. So I have kind of, I have a core community, and sort of within the disability community and the neurodiversity community, and that group kind of knows me. So I put my stuff out poorly on various media, and people see it. I'm actually really interested in finding more people, and one of the reasons why I had a really good time at when the AWP, it was the huge like at the conference center independent Fort Mayor.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
It was 2 years ago, must have been 3 years ago. The AWP happened here, and I managed to connect with some folks there, and like that was very exciting. So I'm actually kind of hoping that I might make some connections through this. I would like to be able to meet more people who are just random people in the community who might be interested, as opposed to my little core. And I'm really bad at social media. I'm trying to be better. I'm here because I'm trying to be better.
Well, you're doing great. I'm watching all the channels and see your stuff show up, and it looks great. So good job. Yeah.
Well, I'm a people person, so I love the in-person events still, which is why I want to do Jolabokaflod. So get to meet you all in person and to meet other people and interact. But I understand that that's with the pandemic, that's not where the world works. Oddly enough, I don't mind Facebook and Twitter. I know that I know they have their drawbacks. I know especially Facebook has its issues, but I like Facebook because you can have in-depth conversations there where people actually will write, a good chunk of, maybe it's because I mainly interact with other writers. I don't get too drawn into the political nonsense. So I like Facebook, and I found I like Twitter because, again, I mainly connect with writers there, and I'm always seeing some interesting quote about writing, some interesting link to something related to writing. I'm seeing new books by people that look interesting. I'm meeting new interesting writers. So Twitter and Facebook, I'm active on every day. And but you guys have turned me on to Instagram, and this Bookagram Taylor Swift book cover thingy sounds pretty cool. Yeah. And so I'll look into that as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, Facebook is good for me too. I agree. I like the longer format. I actually pine for the old blog days. That's what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Most was the live journal.
I still have my live journal. Not that anyone's there, but even me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm with you. I miss the blogs too.
Yeah, I think Facebook does work for
Instagram, but I tend to use it just for pictures. I don't know. It's just like any images I create, I put on there, and I don't do anything but art. It's my art.
It was kind of a pain to type captions until just recently they allowed you to do it from desktop, so that's good. Yeah, I do think Facebook works well for groups like that are based around a certain interest, because then you don't get all the feedback from your weird uncle posting about theories, yeah, etc.
Nice. Well, we've got a nice diverse social media group here then. Yeah, Evan was saying literary Twitter was his lifeline. I think I spend the most of the platforms besides YouTube. I spend the most time on Twitter, and I see him there. But in terms of connecting with people, Pacific Northwest don't tend to be Twitter people. I think I see Liz. And now I'm forgetting her last name because Liz Smash the Patriarchy. That's what her name is on Twitter. I'm like,
Prado. Liz Prado.
Prado. There we go.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they're mostly on Facebook or other channels. And so you sort of like link up with the people who are on the same lanes as you in the same groups. It's kind of strange, but yeah, very cool. Closing in on an hour here, so I wanted to make sure I got a couple announcements out. We've got, today's Friday. Sunday we have a interview. It's going to be historical fiction with two heroes of mine, Vanessa Riley and Susanna Kearsley. I finished Susanna Kearsley's book today. I'm going to finish Vanessa Riley's tomorrow, so it's going to be like fresh on the front of my mind. That's going to be great. We're going to be talking about the concept of home in historical fiction, especially as regards Native Americans, because it is Native American Heritage Month, and reckoning with our colonial past is not a thing we're very practiced at doing. So I thought that'd be a good discussion. And then the next thing is productivity sprints. If you guys aren't familiar, that's something we do on BookTube when we're trying to read or trying to write, as in NaNoWriMo. We'll just get together and talk for a bit, and then silent work for a bit, and then talk for a bit, and then silent work for a bit. And it actually helps. So if you ever feel the need to like have a buddy while you're getting some work done, if you've got stuff you don't want to do and you need someone to like bash you over the head with it, we're good friends for that. And that is with Barrett Laurie on his channel and Zarina Macha. So some writers doing work. But other than that, I think we're good to go for Jola. Thank you so much for coming by to say hello and introduce yourself to the audience. I'm sure they're going to be very excited to see you leading up to Jolabokaflod, or perhaps come to Portland to Urbanite PDX on Sunday, December 12th. And it's only a month away. Yeah, it's the 12th today. It's a month away.
It's exactly a month, yes.
Yeah.
I did that on purpose. But yeah, so thanks everybody. Thanks everyone who came and stopped by to comment. Hope you have a lovely weekend, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.